Hit pause on every grudge you've been nursing and picture this. A spotlight cutting through the dark, falling on you, calm, composed, and several rungs above the storms that once dragged you down. That, my friend, is the ultimate clapback. And if that vision sparks something in you, go ahead and smash that subscribe so you never miss the strategies that turn pain into pure power. What if I told you the fiercest way to strike back is to never strike back at all? Not rage, not a razor-sharp comeback, not even poetic justice. The apex of revenge is to soar so high that the people who tried to shatter you can't even reach the altitude you're now breathing. They drop your name in whispers, hoping the echo rips through your peace. Yet all they hear is silence. You've become unshakable, untouchable. Here's the truth nobody prints on motivational posters. Every heartbeat spent plotting payback is a heartbeat they still own. Why donate your energy to those who traded respect for pettiness? They don't deserve a single kilowatt of your focus, much less the keys to your emotions. The Stoics figured this out centuries ago. They didn't waste dawns scheming retaliation. They forged lives rooted so deep in purpose that their betrayers disintegrated into footnotes, unread, unremembered. So let me ask you, are you ready to quit reacting and start reclaiming? Ready to abandon courtroom fantasies and build a life so luminous the toxic can't step into its glare without shrinking? Because the next few minutes won't teach you how to get even. They'll teach you how to get legendary, how to grow so disciplined, so emotionally bulletproof, so mission-locked that their existence fades to a distant buzz. No rage, no noise, only power. Let's begin. Revenge. The very word feels volcanic, like fire crowding your ribcage. Betrayal flares, disrespect crackles, and that lava surges into one vow. I'll make them pay. For a heartbeat, it does feel mighty. But here's the dagger tucked behind that thrill. Traditional revenge is a gorgeous mirage. It flashes the illusion of power, then quietly siphons off your peace. Imagine someone humiliates you in a crowded room. Instinct screams, strike back, make it sting. For a split second, adrenaline crowns you. But the trade-off: you've just handcuffed your emotions to someone who never deserved front-row access to your psyche. That's not strength, that's dependence. If your joy or fury toggles to their actions, guess who's pressing the switch? Marcus Aurelius nailed it. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Don't fight fire with fire. Become the sun and blaze in a different direction. Still, let's get brutally honest. Why is revenge so magnetic? Biology. Your amygdala, your inner caveman, storms to DEFCON 1. Adrenaline pumps, tunnel vision narrows, your body stamps a war declaration. But that raw circuitry doesn't care about wisdom, leadership, or the empire you're building. It wants blood, not legacy. That's where most warriors fall. Not against their enemies, but against their own hair-trigger impulses. Each petty jab you throw lands on them, but scorches you worse. It clouds your clarity, hijacks your focus, and yokes your worth to someone else's approval rating. Worst of all, it welds an emotional chain to a person who should have been a page turn back in chapter 2. Visualize this. You're clutching a blazing coal, waiting for the perfect chance to hurl it. The longer you hold, the deeper the burn. That's revenge in its purest, most self-destructive form. The Stoics championed a smarter art, self-control as the ultimate flex. Walking away isn't weakness, it's weaponized wisdom. Epictetus distilled it to granite. He who angers you controls you. Stay angry, they win. Obsess over payback, they win. Let bitterness chart your future, they win. The game ends the second you refuse to play. Believe this: the people who wronged you crave your reaction, because your reaction stamps their relevance. Give them your silence, and suddenly they're renters evicted from the real estate of your mind. Build something beautiful without them. And watch how small they appear in your rear view. Ready to drop that burning coal, step into your next level, and turn their shade into your spotlight. Then stay with me, because we're about to weaponize calm, convert pain into fuel, and level up so far they'll need binoculars just to glimpse the trail you leave behind. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, so this journey never hits pause. Previous lesson. Power isn't loud. Power is quiet, unbothered, untouchable. And when you stop reacting, that's when they feel it like a thunderclap. Because silence isn't weakness. It's a weapon, a kind of cold, deliberate indifference that rattles louder than any comeback line. And in that silence, as you become dangerous, you don't need to strike back. You don't need to drop clever quotes on Instagram or rehearse your "watch me now" speech. You need to level up, not to prove anything to them, but to honor the version of you that no longer chases vengeance. That version is busy building. An empire grounded in peace, purpose, and self-worth. So before you spend another breath plotting the perfect burn, ask yourself, am I acting from power or reacting from pain? Because here's the Stoic truth. Revenge keeps you trapped in a story someone else wrote. But discipline? Discipline lets you pick up the pen and write your own. Let's get one thing absolutely clear. Winning is not noise. It's not clapping back. It's not showing off. And it sure as hell isn't getting even. True, Stoic victory means rising. So far above the chaos that the people who hurt you can't even touch your orbit. That's not ego. That's evolution. While others are still tangled in emotional street fights, trying to convince their doubters of their worth, you've already left the ring. Because here's the brutal truth. If you have to prove you've won, you haven't. The ones who've truly risen don't yell. They don't perform. They don't chase validation. They just live differently. They walk with quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need applause. Because their silence carries more weight than 1,000 online takedowns. Think of the most powerful person you know. Not rich, not loud, not flashy, but powerful. The kind of person who walks into a room and shifts the energy without saying a word. They don't explain, they don't fight, they rise. Because here's the secret. Growth is both the loudest revenge and the quietest. Now take a pause. Picture someone who doubted you, mocked your vision, laughed at your early steps. Now imagine this. 1 year later, you're thriving. You've sharpened your skills. You carry yourself with calm, focused strength. You walk with purpose. You're building something real. You don't need to say a single word, because your life is speaking for you. And here's the most beautiful twist. You don't even care if they see it anymore, because you didn't rise to impress them. You rose because staying broken was no longer an option. That's Stoic revenge, not burning their name, but building your own life so powerfully that their name fades into the shadows of irrelevance. There's a quote that captures this perfectly. The best revenge is to be nothing like those who harmed you, and everything like the person they'll never become. They wanted to see you angry. Instead, they saw you win. Now let's get practical. You don't need a dramatic comeback. You need a system, a routine, daily rituals of strength. Wake up early. Move your body. Read words that stretch your mind. Surround yourself with challengers, not critics. Invest in your mental clarity. Cut out gossip, revenge fantasies, and old wounds that no longer serve. Why? Because every moment spent thinking about them is a moment stolen from your future. You're not here to replay old battles. You're here to build a kingdom. Every time you rise in silence, no announcement, no drama, you become someone. Unshakable. That's not petty revenge. That's real victory. The enemy didn't expect you to rise. They expected you to beg, to explain, to argue, to break. But you didn't. You disappeared into your purpose. You turned your anger into ambition. You walked off the battlefield and started laying bricks, for something they'll never be invited into. And that's what they can't handle. Because when you evolve in silence, you force them to face the thing they fear most. Your growth without them. So don't waste a single breath proving them wrong. Become someone they'll never deserve to speak to again. Let them watch you rise, or let them wonder where you went. Either way, you win. And remember, every time someone hurts you, betrays you, lies to you, they're making a bet. They're betting you'll break, that your pain will swallow your purpose, that they've taken something from you that you can't rebuild. So what do? You build it anyway. And you build it better. You rise, not with noise, not with revenge, but with unwavering consistency. You don't need to shout to prove your worth. You don't need to lash out to reclaim your power. Because when you elevate in silence, your very existence becomes proof, without you saying a single word. That's the kind of excellence they can't steal. Not through slander, not through betrayal, not even through their silence. Because true excellence, it's undeniable. It's not built on rage. It's built on discipline, on habits repeated even when no one's clapping. And that kind of consistency, that's a language only the truly focused can speak. Let's break this down. When they see you performing at your highest level, your mind razor sharp, your emotions steady, your body resilient, and your purpose unshaken, it does something to them. It dismantles their narratives. It exposes their envy. It silences their gossip, not because you fought them, but because you outgrew them. That's stoicism in action. Virtus per actum, excellence through action. Epictetus said it clearly. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. That's not just ancient wisdom. That's a mindset for leaders, because the moment you stop explaining and start living your values, you become immune to pettiness. Suddenly you walk into rooms with presence. You speak less, but say more. You don't seek applause, but people still take notice. Not because you're loud, but because you've become grounded in something deeper. Here's the truth most people never say out loud. Most people only understand two things: your collapse or your excellence. And when collapse is no longer an option, excellence becomes your only response. So build your body until it reflects discipline. Build your mind until it becomes a fortress. Build your mission until it wakes you before your alarm. Build your peace so deeply that no argument can reach it. And do it not to impress them, but to transcend them. Because this isn't about proving yourself to those who doubted you. It's about becoming so powerful, they no longer even belong in your atmosphere. Let's get honest. Do you really think Marcus Aurelius wasted his time arguing with small minds? Do you think he chased revenge? Against petty critics, he ruled an empire. And still, he journaled daily about stillness, self-mastery, and virtue. That's not weakness. That's executive-level emotional intelligence. That's choosing progress over pettiness. That's wisdom over war. That's understanding the difference between noise and legacy. The Stoics understood something we still forget. The most powerful message is the life you live when no one is watching. When your habits begin to speak louder than your words, when your energy shifts a room before you even open your mouth, when your silence becomes magnetic, even the ones who pretended not to notice will feel it. Because that's what hurts them most. Not that you clapped back, but that you didn't collapse, you didn't beg, you didn't explain, you simply rose until their betrayal became irrelevant. You didn't just survive, you became unforgettable. And here's the beautiful part. Chasing excellence doesn't just make you win, it makes you transcend. You stop playing the old games. You stop needing closure. You stop trying to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop seeking revenge and start creating results. You stop demanding to be seen and start building a life too bright to ignore. Your reputation now speaks for itself, not with words, but with outcomes. So what's the best revenge? It's not burning bridges, it's building towers. Let them watch from the ground while you rise from the top, because here's the hard truth. Excellence is the only language they'll ever truly respect. Sometimes the loudest thing you'll ever say is nothing, no reaction, no explanation. No final word, just the steady echoing sound and of your footsteps walking away. In a world addicted to arguing and proving points, silence is shocking. But in the world of the Stoics, silence is sacred, because walking away isn't weakness, it's strategy, it's dignity. It's the clearest message you can send. You no longer have access to my energy. Most people, they're not ready. For that, they expect the drama, the fight, the final word. They want your attention because your attention feeds them. Your anger affirms them. Your reaction tells them they still matter. But when you go quiet, when you disappear into your growth, when you no longer engage, you don't just break the pattern, you shatter their entire game. The Stoics knew this long before social media. When you give energy to things beneath you, you shrink your own soul. And here's the truth you must remember. Not everything that disturbs you deserves your response. Let that settle in. Every time you explain yourself to someone who's already decided who you are, every time you try to fix what you didn't break it, every time you stay just to prove your value, you're not fighting for clarity, you're feeding confusion. You're not proving your worth. You're delaying your evolution. So walk away. And don't look back. You don't owe them anything, especially not your peace, not your anger, not your pain, not your endless explanations. Because every time you trade your inner calm for their approval, it's a bad deal. Every single time. So, what does walking away really mean? It means taking the pen back. It means reclaiming the right to write your own story. It means realizing something most people never do. Not everyone deserves closure. Not every betrayal requires confrontation. Not every wound needs to be voiced out loud. Silence isn't surrender. Silence is spiritual strength in its highest form, because it takes an incredible level of self-mastery to stay still when every nerve in your body screams to react, to speak, to burn the bridge. It's easy to clap back. It's easy to write the angry message. It's easy to tell your version, to vent, to lash out. But it takes a whole different kind of power to breathe, to pause, and to say nothing at all. Why? Because you've finally realized something sacred. Your energy is not for sale. It's not disposable. It's not casual. It's sacred currency. And you don't spend sacred currency on things that only leave you depleted. Here's the paradox. The second you stop proving your worth, you start embodying it. You stop chasing justice. You become the justice through stillness, clarity, and direction. You no longer need to defend your value, because your calm presence already speaks louder than any argument could. That's true. Mental toughness. It's not about putting up walls, it's about knowing exactly where the door is, and having the strength to walk through it without flinching, without turning around. Let me give you a picture. Imagine someone who lied to you, used you, disrespected you, took your kindness for granted, and then had the audacity to expect you to come back. Most people would sit there waiting for apologies, for guilt, for karma. But the Stoic, they know the apology you're waiting for will never be as healing as your decision to walk away. You don't need their regret. You don't need their recognition. You don't need them to validate your worth. You just need to see yourself clearly and believe it. Really believe it. And when you finally do, here's what you'll notice. You were never truly angry. You were hurt. But you stayed too long in a place that never honored that pain, and now you've outgrown the need to explain it. Because sometimes the most powerful boundary isn't a speech, it's distance. So walk away, not from arrogance, but from clarity. Let your absence speak. Let your silence echo louder than any emotional defense ever could. They'll hear it. They'll feel it. And while they're still replaying the last thing they said to you, you'll already be too far gone, living your next chapter, in peace, in strength, in silence. That's the Stoic way. You don't owe your pain to anyone, not to the one who hurt you, not to the people watching from the sidelines, not even to your past self, the one who begged for a second chance, for one more maybe. Let's get one thing crystal clear. Carrying pain is not a badge of honor. 2. Many of us confuse suffering with strength. We think holding on to the betrayal proves how brave we are. We think if we let go too soon it means they got away with it. But the truth is, they already got away with it the moment you gave them real estate in your mind. The moment you let them replay their damage inside your thoughts over and over again. There's a difference between healing and holding. Healing is choosing you every day in every decision. Holding is choosing them again and again in the name of closure or justice. And that's not strength, that's self-abandonment. One of the core pillars of Stoicism is self-mastery, the belief that your peace, your focus, your thoughts belong to you, not to your enemies, not to your ex, not to your critics, not even to your trauma. And when you keep replaying their betrayal, when you let that story loop on repeat like a broken record, you're keeping them alive inside your nervous system. You're writing chapters of your life with characters who were never meant to survive that long. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. Let's pause on that. This isn't just a quote, it's a blueprint for freedom. What does it look like in practice? It looks like emotional boundaries. It looks like saying, I acknowledge what you did, but I refuse to let it define my inner world. It looks like waking up without the weight of their memory pressing on your chest. It looks like choosing peace over payback, distance over drama, freedom over familiarity. It looks like accepting one core Stoic truth: the person who hurt you isn't thinking about you anymore. So why are you still building your life around their memory? Let that sting. Because once it does, it wakes you up. You realize the pain you've been carrying, it's become an offering. And the altar you've been leaving it on, it's been empty for a long, long time. So how do you stop? Not by pretending everything's fine, not by numbing it out, but by finally choosing you. Page 5, rewrite. The strongest revenge is no revenge. Just level up. You've already begun to embrace silence not as weakness, but as wisdom. And now you transform that wisdom into a way of life, not by suppressing your emotions, but by making a high-performance mindset decision. You stop giving them your mental real estate. You stop handing them your attention, your energy, your sense of self. You stop letting a temporary villain dictate the permanent direction of your soul. Yes, they hurt you, and yes, that pain was real. But so is your healing, so is your purpose, so is the life waiting to be built beyond this moment. The Stoics would say, you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become in spite of it. So here's your quiet rebellion. You walk away, not to escape the pain, but to choose something greater than it. You stop talking about them. You stop trying to make them understand. You stop pleading for someone who never once asked how deep the wound went. You leave them behind, not to hurt them, but to stop hurting yourself. This is your power. It doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need validation. It only needs one thing: your decision to no longer be the prison guard of your own suffering. From this moment forward, you're not explaining, not chasing, not proving, not hoping. You're building, healing, rising, and they fade into irrelevance. Not because they disappear, but because in your story, they no longer belong in the next chapter. At some point, you have to choose. Do you want to win the argument or win your life? Let that question echo, because most people never make that distinction. They spend years chasing the satisfaction of being right, trying to deliver the perfect closing line to people who don't even deserve the clarity of a single sentence. But here's what the Stoics understood long before modern psychology caught up. You don't rise by stepping on others. You rise by stepping beyond them. That's the high road. And let's be clear, it's not soft, it's not weak, it's not passive. It's one of the most powerful acts of emotional intelligence you will ever practice. Let's break it down. The high road requires self-worth. When someone betrays you, lies to you, or disrespects you, your first instinct might be to confront them, to fight back, to set the record straight. But often, this isn't about truth. It's about validation. You want them to realize how wrong they were, to regret it, to apologize in a way that finally makes the pain feel worth it. But ask yourself, do you really need their acknowledgement to believe in your own value? Because the high road means you no longer outsource your self-worth. Their apology is optional. Their approval is irrelevant. Your peace, non-negotiable. The high road requires delayed gratification. There's no standing ovation, no dramatic mic drop, no viral moment. And that's exactly why most people avoid it. They trade long-term dignity for short-term drama, but Stoics like Marcus Aurelius weren't chasing emotional highs. They were seeking inner alignment. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius, the high road is the executive mindset. You conserve energy for what moves your life forward, not what satisfies your ego in the moment. The high road makes you untouchable. When someone tries to provoke you, and you don't flinch, don't react, don't give them the chaos they crave, what happens? You disarm them. Not through revenge, but through unshakable calm. Imagine a room where everyone's yelling, accusing, losing control, and you're the only one still, grounded and focused. People notice. They may not say it aloud, but they respect it. Composure is rare, and what's rare becomes powerful. The high road is strategic, not passive. Let's get something clear. Stoicism isn't numbness. It's intentionality. It's knowing where to spend your energy and where to save it. Sometimes the strongest move is walking away in silence. Other times, it's setting a boundary, firmly, clearly, without anger. High performers, elite leaders, spiritual masters, they don't engage with pettiness. Why? Because their vision is too important, their time too sacred, their peace too expensive. Your success becomes their silence. No one tells you this, but it's true. The people who hurt you, they're watching. They might pretend they're not, but they see your peace. They hear about your progress. They feel the distance, and it stings, because you've become someone they can no longer reach. That's the real mic drop. The revenge you never have to plan, because your elevation becomes their echo. That is the high road. That is emotional mastery, and that is the strongest revenge. No revenge, just level up. They thought they moved on. At least that's what they tell themselves and the world. But deep down they feel it, the undeniable shift in energy. They see the life you're carefully building, hear the whispers of your progress, and sense the widening distance where once they stood. Your peace no longer includes them, and that silence is louder than any confrontation. It stings, not because you hurt them, but because you've become someone entirely out of their reach, and that's the real mic drop. No dramatic exit, no parting shots, just quiet growth that echoes louder than revenge ever could. So now the question isn't, should I take the high road? It becomes, what would my life look like if I never stepped off it? Because once you choose peace over pettiness, purpose over pride, and self-mastery over chaos, there's no going back. You rise, and you keep rising until even the memory of those who tried to pull you down can't keep up. That's how you win. When we're wronged, it's tempting to stare at the clock of justice. We think, why are they still fine while I'm still hurting? But that's the ego talking, the part of us desperate for fairness, for instant karma. Yet here's the Stoic truth. Justice delayed is not justice denied. The universe may move slowly, but it never missteps. And the moment you stop playing judge, jury, and executioner, you reclaim something far more valuable than revenge, your peace. Let the universe handle what you can't. The Stoics believed in logos, the divine, rational order of the cosmos. Every injustice eventually collapses under its own weight. You don't have to orchestrate their downfall. You don't even have to watch. Just step aside. Let karma work in silence while you work on yourself. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. As Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Chasing karma is a spiritual distraction. What most people don't realize is that the more you wait for karma to strike, the more you're chained to the one who hurt you. It's like sitting in an open prison cell, refusing to leave until your enemy is locked in one beside you. That's not justice. That's spiritual captivity. Discipline means trusting the timing of life even when it's painful. It means choosing freedom over fury. They're already facing their own consequences. People who lie, cheat, manipulate, or abuse are already living with a curse they cannot escape. Their own mind. They carry the same destructive patterns. Day after day, they burn bridges, ruin love, wreck opportunity. They live in chaos and call it normal. That's karma. It doesn't always show up as public downfall. Sometimes it's private misery, camouflaged by loud laughs and fake confidence. Your energy is too expensive to waste on revenge. Think of it as ROI, return on investment, but for your soul. What's the cost of revenge? A fleeting moment of triumph. The cost? Weeks, months, maybe years of emotional residue. Anger drains your focus. Bitterness hijacks your clarity. Resentment lowers your emotional frequency. That's not a path to power. That's self-sabotage. Instead, invest in becoming untouchable. Channel that energy into building your mind, nurturing your purpose, and healing your spirit. Let your wound become wisdom, not a weapon. When you let go, they lose all power. That's the paradox. The moment you no longer care if karma finds them is the moment it does. Why? Because they lose the one thing they still held over you, your attention. When their name no longer triggers rage, when you smile instead of seethe, when your life flourishes and theirs stagnates, that silence, that's the sting they never expected. You are not the avenger. You are the example. Stoicism doesn't demand retaliation. It invites transformation. You don't retaliate to prove a point. You elevate to become one. That's the mark of true strength. When you rise so gracefully, your silence becomes their mirror. After learning to let go of revenge and investing in your inner growth, what comes next? Forgiveness. Not the kind that's performative or passive, but the type that liberates the soul. That's where the Stoic path leads you. We live in a time where outrage is currency, where everyone is offended, constantly at war with words, and always eager to clap back. But a true Stoic doesn't clap back. They build. They don't parade revenge. They embody resilience. They don't fight to prove others wrong. They evolve so authentically, so powerfully, that no argument can touch them. When you grow into someone so in alignment with your values, so elevated in your inner peace, there's simply nothing left to debate. Your progress speaks louder than any defense. That's not petty justice. That's powerful transformation. So, stop waiting for the universe to take your side. Start becoming the person the universe elevates. Real karma isn't about watching them crumble. It's about rising so high that they can't even find the ladder to reach you. That isn't just Stoicism, it's self-mastery. That's your freedom. But there's one final battle to win within yourself. Forgiveness. That single word stirs something in us. For many, it sparks anger, resistance, or even shame. Somewhere along the way, forgiveness was painted as weakness, as if it's letting someone off the hook. But make no mistake, Stoic forgiveness isn't weakness. It's strength in its purest form. It's emotional intelligence at its highest level. Forgiveness isn't about letting them go. It's about unhooking yourself from the emotional weight dragging you down. Forgiveness is a solo act of freedom. You don't need their apology, their understanding, or even a final conversation. You don't need closure or clarity. You just need to set yourself free from a burden you never asked to carry. The longer you hold on to your anger, the more you stay spiritually tied to the person who caused it. It's like keeping a wound open, not because it won't heal, but because you won't stop picking at it, hoping they'll notice. They won't, but your peace will. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. That includes the power to release what no longer serves your clarity. Forgiveness does not require forgetting. One of the most damaging myths is that to forgive, you must forget. No. Stoicism doesn't ask you to become naive. It asks you to become wise. You don't forgive so they can return. You forgive so you can move forward without dragging the past behind you like a rusted chain. Keep the lesson. Release the poison, hold the boundary, let go of the obsession, preserve your dignity, leave behind the courtroom you've been replaying in your head for years. Unforgiveness is a slow poison. At first it feels powerful. You replay moments, you rehearse speeches, you mentally draft revenge. But all that effort is just fuel burned for nothing. Unforgiveness breeds anxiety. It steals your focus. It disturbs your rest, your productivity, your joy. If revenge is the illusion of power, then unforgiveness is the illusion of protection. But neither can truly shield you. Only healing can do that. Forgiveness is mastery in motion. Think of the most grounded people you know. They're not barking back online. They're not orchestrating drama. They've simply learned their energy is sacred. Their peace is priceless. And neither should be spent on temporary satisfaction. Forgiveness clears your emotional RAM. It frees up space for creativity instead of chaos, for healing instead of hate, for direction instead of distraction. It's not softness, it's strategy. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconnecting. This is crucial. You don't need to reopen the door to release the resentment. Forgiveness means saying, I no longer carry this story. Not, you're welcome. Back. You can close the door without keeping your hand on the knob. Letting go doesn't mean erasing the past. It means acknowledging you've grown beyond the version of yourself that was hurt, and they no longer deserve access to the person you've become. The Stoic doesn't just forgive, they transcend. Stoicism isn't about pretty slogans. It's about embodiment. They don't preach peace, they become it. They don't beg for fairness, they show up anyway, with strength, with honor, with integrity. Now the question is, will you? Because forgiveness to the Stoic is not surrender, it's transcendence. It's the kind of strength that lifts you so far above the noise that the actions of small reactive minds can no longer disturb your inner calm. It's the realization that true power is found not in the heat of reaction, not in the compulsion to respond, not in the spiral of obsession, but in the ability to rise, quietly, steadily, with grace. Final thought, forgiveness is not something you do for them. It's something you offer to yourself, to the version of you that is tired of just surviving and ready, finally, to start living. To the you that chooses to stop dragging the weight of pain into every new chapter. To the one who values mental clarity, emotional resilience, and spiritual elevation more than the illusion of control. So no, you don't forgive because they deserve it. You forgive because you do. Because you've suffered long enough. And the instant you make that choice, silently, inwardly, they lose all power over you. That's not surrender, that's sovereignty. And here you are, not the victim, not just a survivor, but the one who chose peace over punishment, mastery over madness. You didn't need to scream, retaliate, or prove a point. You became someone they can no longer touch. That is the most powerful revenge. Because while they stayed spinning in their old cycles, locked in patterns too small for you now, you rose. You built a life grounded in strength, sculpted from discipline, lifted by purpose. A soul so solid, it no longer shakes. A presence so centered that your silence roars louder than their chaos. Let them wonder, let them whisper. Let them wait for a reaction that will never come. Because when you found true self-worth, when your energy is protected by spiritual discipline and emotional intelligence, you owe no one your pain, only your progress. Now it's your turn. What step can you take today to show the world, and more importantly yourself, that you've moved beyond revenge? Share it in the comments. Your next move might just spark someone else's breakthrough. And if this message stirred something in you, even for a moment, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Here at Stoic Havenway, we're not chasing noise. We're building a sanctuary of minds, a quiet revolution, where resilience is the norm, where silence is strategy, and power is earned inwardly. Thank you for walking this path with us. We're right beside you.